Lance Gibson Jr., who is undefeated, taking on Dominic Clark on short notice. Originally, we weren't supposed to have this. We were supposed to have Chris Avila versus Lance Gibson Jr., and either way, it would have been an easy win for Lance Gibson. Chris Avila is a friend of Nate Diaz. He would have gone out there and got easily KO, TKO, submitted, whatever the case may be, in my opinion. And I think the same thing will happen here. Lance Gibson Jr., Dominic Clark. Dominic is 37 years old. He's not as tall as Lance Gibson Jr. He's not as lengthy as Lance Gibson Jr. He's not as good of a striker, as good of a wrestler. Lance is honestly better wherever I'm looking at this fight. And minus 500 doesn't look like the best line for most people, but I'm going to say it right now. That's parlay piece material for Lance Gibson Jr. there inside of Bellator, and I got him winning that one. I'm going to go submission late. I think he's going to outbox Dominic Clark on the feet, take the fight down, get the back of Dominic Clark, maybe a little bit of ground and pound, and cinch in a rear naked choke submission. Came off a TKO win and a few decision wins inside of Bellator, but I do think this one, I have a feeling it's going to be a rear naked like Arthur Esterazulas was able to do in that fight, but should be an interesting one. Prop odds for this one, it keeps editing my fight odds page for some reason, but the prop odds for Lance Gibson Jr. in this fight, Gibson Jr. inside the distance, obviously that's going to have a little bit of value at minus 105 for Lance Gibson Jr. to win inside the distance on right here. Let's see if I can find it. The over 1.5 is at minus 135. I don't want to do anything with that. I'd rather just go over here and do Gibson inside the distance at minus 105. That's probably the best thing that you're going to get there. There's no KO props, no submission props just yet. We'll have to wait for those ones, but inside the distance isn't too bad for Gibson Jr.